Hey everyone. I'd like to say, starting off here, that I think I write better than I speak. But because people don't like to take time to read, and many people would rather watch videos, I'm going to try to read what I wrote yesterday called My Two Cents Worth. And my 2 cents worth is what I've seen occur in my lifetime. And I believe with the destruction of the nation state, which God ordained for a new world order, or what's commonly known as globalism, which is going to pave the way for Satan to be revealed before the end of this age. So, without further ado, I'm going to try to read as best I can what I wrote yesterday off my blog. And so this is called My 2 Cents Worth. As one who was born under 48 stars in the American flag, I have watched the decline of a great nation ever since. Powerful leaders have conspired against free people since tribalism began in the world, Matthew 24:37 through 39. But as in the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until that day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So people are going to be surprised. Humanism, anti Christian, anti Bible within our society, with the opening of the Establishment Clause, with the growing of the atheist and feminist movement of the 1960s, was propelled forward by people like Madeline Murray O'Hara in 1962, changed the policy of mandatory prayer and Bible reading in Baltimore public schools, the area in which I grew up. This new religion, as ruled by the Supreme Court, of humanism had slowly migrated into our school systems after World War II, primarily because of a teacher shortage within the United States at the time. Politically and militarily, we had defeated the Nazis, yet communism became the new enemy, and nuclear weapons our newest concern with the arms race and Cold War, which morphed into a political space race, including the moon landing in 1969 as put forth by JFK prior to his assassination. What is not foreseen after World War II was the acceptance of what is now called cultural Marxism within education. And that's basically humanism. Broadcasting and many civil liberty groups, which inevitably grew from the time of great change. And if you do some research, uh, including Martin Luther King, you'll see that there was a lot of communist influences in that movement. But yet they were putting these things forth, interestingly enough, as King, being a doctor, which was awarded to him as a minister of the gospel. But actually, well, just do the research on Martin Luther King, and you'll see this was a this was something that occurred um, by communists, I'm afraid. Ultimately, as spoken in the gospel, it is not really the nation states which the Lord preordained after Babel, known as ethos, and that's where we get our word ethnic groups from in the Bible, a makeup of certain people, cultures, ideology, religion, and a common language. Rather, history is about what the Lord allowed or disallows to transpire, and the new globalism via UN mandates is taking form. This is what I see happening today. But first, we have to have a decline of Western nationalism. and all nationalism, actually. I first witnessed the decline of U.S. patriotism around 1968 during the Vietnam War. My dad had a shop which sold American flags, and the sales dropped dramatically after the Tet Offensive, never to return, except briefly after 9/11 attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. My wife and I had nearly completed our 20 years of military service after the attack, and we were shocked, like everyone else, that civilian airliners were used in such destruction and loss of American life. We both continued to do our part in defense of this nation, and after returning home from my orders cut under Operation Enduring Freedom, just over a year later, I would suffer a near fatal heart attack, ending my military career as a technician. I go on to write, I really hate to have to write this next paragraph because as a loyal soldier, Christian, and nationalist, I never wanted to believe it possible that a new world order, first spoken publicly by George Bush, seems to me to have reared its ugly head within the multiple events in an effort in transforming the world to the revealing of Satan and his minions to an unbelieving world. When after what is commonly called the rapture occurs, the world is not going to believe the Bible. They're going to come up with other I don't know excuses for it. To me, this is tragic and increasingly unbelievable to one who actively supports the U.S. Constitution and whose families fought in the American Revolution. The New World Order is tragic. Yet, this is a time of strong delusions, and we must look to what may make us uncomfortable in the pursuance of a greater truth. Psychologists call this confirmation biases, and we all choose to believe what makes us most comfortable, be it our politics, faith, and even our health. I never wanted to believe that 9/11 was anything but a terrorist attack. Yet more and more evidence shows that steel frame buildings have never come down, nor specifically pancaked due to the result of fire alone. With some mechanical marine engineering skill sets, including fuel, some firefighting, and metal stress understanding, it is increasingly difficult to believe the official physical evidence of the towers coming down was based solely as a result of commercial airliners horrifically shearing into the upper floors of two World Trade Centers and the complete pulverized results of a nearly free-falling collapse. Yesterday, I saw a meme of Adolf Hitler on it. It read, if science were followed instead of Christianity, Hitler would have never come to power. This enraged me, and I wrote, Nazi eugenics, science in parentheses, calls Hitler to come to power, not Christianity, fool. The Nuremberg trials, and specifically the doctor trials of 22 Nazi doctors who were thought instrumental in the establishment of the Third Reich, were based on this so-called science. In my view, when you invoke humanistic science, evolution, as supreme instead of the laws of God, which is known as natural law, as supreme, you have just made laws of man superior to an all-knowing God, the creator and keeper of the universe. And both the Nazis and the communists invoked this. For lack of a better term, I will call these people power brokers. Some people call it the Illuminati and, whatever, but I'm going to call these people power brokers. Control of humanity is the ultimate goal. First, we must First must go, individual liberties, which our founding fathers understood in depth, and then free speech, worship, the independent press, enterprise, property, water, food, energy resources, and medicine, the staples of any free people. This information age has enabled such a lofty goal, with now 24/7 programming continually pumped into the population, and I suspect a monitoring of people will be next. This leads me to another point. In taking away of individual liberties for the collective. And what better way to do this than in the name of science and health care, the supreme issue for the survival and health and well-being of all peoples? Just like the Nazis championed eugenics using science, today's power brokers globally also attempt to use science to address the environment, population growth, energy, food, water, and even temperature. It is a one-size-fits-all type of control of money and individuals. As Madeleine Albright once slipped up by saying, I paraphrase this, Christianity is the greatest single threat to our country, which should read progressive agenda. So in my estimation, anything is allowed in a pluralistic hedonism, apart from Christianity, just like in ancient Rome. Nothing new under the sun. The reason is because belief in a higher power is unacceptable to all power brokers who are threatened by such a mindset. In other words, you can't have a higher belief system. You have to follow what these power brokers, globalists, are saying. You can't have independent thought and individual liberties, interjecting that. Then I go on to write, oh Lord, I hate to say it, but even this global pandemic involving COVID-19, which is very real, has brought down not only this nation, but most all nations globally. I would rather believe this was not planned or invented, yet this does not appear to be the case. And even if this was a naturally occurring phenomenon, why are drugs like hydroxychloroquine, developed in 1955 for fighting microbes in drinking water, so resisted and limited to U.S. doctors who feel it may be effective in certain patients? I will leave the medical observation to more qualified people than myself, but just like not the 9/11 attacks on the Twin Towers, this Wuhan virus seems more like a plandemic by global power brokers, pharmaceuticals, and high tech to gain control rather than the caring, loving global community which they pretend to be. And to hell with God's appointed nation states, says these devil's children. Wishing everyone a solemn Memorial Day. And I go on by ending with Matthew 24, 6 through 7. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation, ethnic groups, ethos, will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes, and of course pestilences and disease in various places. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope this makes some sense to some people. Good day.